Very good morning, everyone. And I'm Rona, a part of International Tax Consultancy. And I'll be your host for today's webinar, which will be on the topic FTA audit, which will cover topics like why is a tax audit done by FTA and how to prepare and stay compliant towards it. But before we dive right into the webinar, I would like to give a small introduction of ITC. ITC Tax Accounting and Tax Consultancy is one of the top and most reliable tax agency in the UAE. In a short span of time, ITC's team has mastered efficiency in providing clients the best tax solutions. You can expect an uncompromised attitude when it comes to quality and professionalism. We deliver a sleek and professional outcome that sets us apart from the competition. With the leadership of Mr. Ahmed Sharafuddin, we have already positioned ourselves as the VAT and excise tax specialist in the market. We have a fast-growing team of qualified and dedicated professionals with innovative and commercial approaches to meet today's highly challenging business environment. By bringing the best team at your service, highly experienced tax and finance specialists in the industry, International Tax Consultancy will continue to create long-term relationships with various businesses by having the ability to deliver as exceptional service that is satisfactory on all levels of quality and speed. As a testimony to our strategic and proven approach, most of the customers we serve are generated through referrals and repeated business. Moving forward, I would like to introduce our panelists for today's webinar. About Mr. Ahmed Sharafuddin. As a founding partner of ITC, Ahmed Sharafuddin is an integral part of the company, having performed hundreds of tax audits and being involved in more than 50 tax litigation cases. He brings to the table a vast experience in taxation and compliance. Since ITC's inception, Ahmed conducted hundreds of VAT and excise health checks, including many of the notorious groups in UAE and the region. With a notorious reputation in tax litigation, he was involved in building the strategy in many tax litigation cases, as he successfully assisted companies in reducing hundreds of millions in administrative penalties. Next up, Mrs. Nikita Bhandari. Nikita is a seasoned tax professional with close to a decade of experience in a variety of tax-related fields. She has a well-rounded understanding of the industry and has honed her skills through years of hands-on experience. Her experience in tax advisory and pre-audits has made her a valuable asset to the team, as she is able to handle the most important cases and clients with utmost professionalism. Nikita is known for her attention to detail and her strong work ethic. She takes pride in doing her homework and approaching every task with a dedication to getting it right. Her approach has earned her the trust of clients and the respect of colleagues across all departments. She is a leader within the team and takes the time to mentor and teach her colleagues, helping to raise the overall level of knowledge and skills within the organization. With Nikita on the team, clients can rest assured that their tax needs will be handled with care and expertise. From now on, I would like Mrs. Nikita to take it forward. Thank you.
Hi, good morning, one and all. It's actually, sorry for the delay for the 5 minutes. We were actually expecting the joinees to attend in. And thank you, Ms. Rona, for this wonderful introduction. And for this, we flag off our tax audit some webinar. So what exactly we are attending today? What are the topics that we would be covering? And what is the agenda, why we have thought for having this webinar today? Is that if we see that the law implementation of the VAT has completed 5 years. So with this, as a new statute of limitations, which has come up, which was effective from 1st of March 2023, it says that there is a time bar for a tax audit that can be covered by the FTA. So we have seen, we have witnessed that many of the clients and many of the companies have received a call that audit notification from the FTA. And why exactly it is so? That is what we want to address. We would like to create an awareness that it's not a time to panic. We have a solution, what we can go through about, and how we can tackle the situation. So going with the agenda, that is first, what is a tax audit? Because there are many people out there who may not know what exactly a tax audit is and what are the procedures and why exactly FTA does conduct this tax audit. What are your rights, like being a taxpayer rights, what exactly the rights are, what is the audit process, and how can we prepare for it, what exactly the documentation is so important. Like FTA in every requirements, they do ask a lot of documents. So we are also going to address that, why exactly this has been so important. Also, we will touch on the subject that why it's a myth. That was like a small, you may say, a perception that if you have got an audit notification, then only bad things are going to happen, which is not true. So that was also we're going to address about. Also, why exactly an external VAT audit, VAT health audit is important, and what is a VAT health check process. So this is what exactly we'll be going to cover today. So moving forward with the slide. VAT audit. Okay. So what is a tax audit now? So in very definition terms, as per the federal law number 28 of 2022, actually this has been the new amendment to the federal tax procedures number 7 of 2017. So don't be confused. It's something not new, but just little amendments to the old law. So that is why it has been termed with law number 28 of 2022. So as per the definition, it says that it's a procedure undertaken by the authority to inspect the commercial records, information, data, or goods related to a person to determine whether the person has fulfilled his obligation under this decree law or the tax law. So this particularly states that when in layman language, if I break down this definition, then this is that you may need to have the records, the documentation that the FTA is asking you as per the guidelines, as per the law. And also in case if there is anything like misinformation or any mistake or something that should be corrected. So that is what exactly an audit is to there, is to just to check that everybody is being adhering to the procedures of the law and everybody are law abiding, nobody is doing any default. So that is exactly in a layman language what a tax audit is. Moving forward. So we understood what in a simpler terms what a tax audit is, but now why exactly FTA conducts an audit? So as I said, that it is really concerned about the people should be adhering to the law, and they should be, very well aware of the knowledge exactly what documents they must be having it, in which transactions, the right disclosures or the right application of the rates to be done. That is why they randomly sometimes pick the VAT audit. That is what is so said in the market, but no. There are certain criteria which even FTA follows when they have to go for a FTA audit. That is like we have listed down some. That is one is high risk industries. So now what exactly a high risk industry means? Now high risk could be like an example, if I could say, the real estate industry. Now, what happened is actually there's a rule called transitional rule. So before 2018, 1st of Jan 2018, there was no tax. So definitely whatever the transactions that was taken place in the real estate or the dealings of the properties or the rentals income that you could say, they were without tax. But now from 2018, 1st of Jan 2018, they were supposed to be charged with tax. Then that transition should have been taken place, like the post 1st of Jan 2018, the invoices should have been revised, that the invoices were not the simple kacha invoice. It should have been a proper tax invoice having the VAT charged on it. So these are some kind of an, a very sensitive area where people may have neglected, ignored. This is one of the examples. The other examples are the petroleum industry, the healthcare industry, the preventive education industry. So these are some of the high risk industries where exactly FTA looks into whether the specifications of the law is very sensitive and it has to be adhered, because these industries are very, very sensitive to the economy. So thus, also the good industries that have a lot of trading, like the imports and the exports of goods. So again, because you're dealing with something out of state, out of UAE, so definitely that is also counted as one of the high risk or sensitive areas. So definitely those areas or those businesses who operate under these activities, who have these lines of activities, will be definitely come under the first preference on the scanner, just to check whether do they follow whatever exactly is written in the law, they're disclosing it properly, and there is no mishandling or misappropriation of the same. Okay, so going forward with the second point, that is examination of records. So examination of records is again the documents that you keep, that maintained, like the books of accounts could be, like I said, for the imports and exports. Now I could highlight here something. And those who are dealing in the logistics or those who are dealing in the trading, the export of the goods, there is something when you export the goods, as per the law, it was said you require two types of evidence. One is commercial and one is official evidence as per the customs law. So there were many things that were not followed or were not neglected or ignored, saying that either of the one is fine or something. But now the government has become very strict with the export, and they have been demanding a certificate called as an exit certificate. So what exactly an exit certificate is? Exit certificate is when your goods are being inspected in the customs port and they are, being issued by the custom authority, signed and stamped, saying the goods are verified, inspected, and it's good to go out of the border. So the awareness of it was there, but the implementation, or you say the mandatoriness of the same was not so much there in the market, and right now it is. That is why many of the people are again for this the same way. They're facing an audit for the same. Like they have been receiving notification or assessment, or even if they're going for refunds, this kind of things. If you're not able to provide the exit certificate at all, this is heading towards the audit assessment or audit notification. So definitely this kind of a record is important. So that is why for this particular specifically, this export of sales or the zero rated sales, as we in a technical term we say, that is also the one area that the FTA will definitely look into, and they will actually want to go digger deep in it. And it could be if your company is dealing in one of those export of goods, so they can definitely give you an audit notification or audit assessment for the same. Next is the adherence to the FTA laws in his routine business practices. So now what happens is at times, it's very common, you see, I understand that you paid, you filed your returns, and for some reason the payment or the payment of the tax liability is just left over, or it is done the next day for XYZ reason. I'm not saying it's deliberate, but for some genuine reasons as well. So definitely in that time also the FTA is now very much sensitive. They're very much aware of the system. As you see that the old system has been, extended, has been renewed with Imara tax portals. So now they are extra cautious and they track your payment, your submission of the records. So that is one thing. And there could be some kind of a random assessment where we have seen that many a times FTA comes a surprise visit, and they will just surprisingly ask for your books of accounts and just a simple like, okay, show your certain tax invoices or something like that. So that also goes into your routine day-to-day practice, and basis of which also if they find that there are some irregularities in your maintenance of the records or internal controls of the organization, they may definitely, would like to go dig into the audit. And going forward with the last is a tax liability. So here again, that they ensure that every tax liability is being paid, like the one, the simple I said is the tax returns. Secondly, also depending upon your registration, your deregistration, is it on time or not? So that is also thing that you may get penalized for the late registration, deregistration, for the late timely filing of the returns. So these all things also attract the attention because this is something that is system calculated and it is, you don't have any control over the same. So if there is a delay, definitely they shall dig in why exactly there is a delay. Also, if there is a refund, if you are not providing them the correct uh, documents as they have requested, then again there could be the situation that it could lead to, I don't say it always, but there could be a chance that it could lead to a conduct of an audit. So that's whole thing, that is like some of the scenarios here we have covered. Why exactly, or as per our experience, why exactly does FTA dig into the audit? There could be some other, but these are the four that we have generalized for other companies and we have stated here. Going forward is the audit process. So now once you get the audit notification, now, as I said, that there is a new amendment come to the tax procedures, that is number 7. So in this earlier, whenever they used to give the audit notification or the time to, arrange the documents, it was 5 working days. But now that has been increased to 10 working days. So again, there is this kind of a relief that FTA had bought. And from 1st of March 2023, this has been implemented. So henceforth, if there is any communication, irrespective, regardless of the audit, it is even for the FTA communication regarding the BDs or the refunds, it is minimum now 10 working days. So even if you're going to receive an assessment or an audit notification, it will be within 10 working days, you may receive it from the FTA. And how exactly they process with this. So the auditor has a right to enter in your office or in the business place to conduct the audit. And the office place or the business, they can enter it's only during the working hours, that is the business working hours. And whenever they enter, so what they do is they will temporarily close that, because since they will be doing the inspection of the documents and the records. So definitely they will temporarily close down the business, but it cannot be more than for 72 hours. But there are again grounds for that. That is, the conditions is that there is a ground that the tax has been evaded. And also there could be the scenario that the person has received an advance tax notice of tax audit attempts to stop the tax auditor from entering the place where the tax audit is to be performed. So this is the one thing, that if they come to your office, that it could not be for more than 72 hours. And the cases are that once there has to be tax evaded. And also they believe that if they temporarily close down the business, like they close down the working hours, there should not be any problem in the business routine. Only then they can do that. Also, again, they would require to do, they require the DG approval for the same as well. Now, exactly now when the auditor comes, what do they check? They check the returns, they check the documents like sale of goods, purchase invoices, your imports or exports if you're dealing in case if you have real estate, then again, what is recoverable, not recoverable. That is the basis of the commercial property and the residential property. So definitely that is also one thing that they will take into. Then so that would be, the basics that they will start with. And going forward with the next slide. So once they review your records and documents, they can obtain the original records or copies. They can take the samples of the goods or the assets from the business location, subject to the tax auditor. And this can be attached, okay, with the tax assessment, what they are doing. Okay, as I said earlier, they can do it only during the official business hours. And if they want to conduct in the after office hours, or they want to, or sometimes the books of records is kept in your residence place, like, some people do operate from the home. The businesses actually does not require some legal establishments or they have and from home, then definitely the approval from the Director General is required. They cannot do it without that. And again, it's not that once they visit the office, it is the end of the process. They can definitely come back for any new information which could impact the audit. So that is till the time they're not convinced enough, there could be the chances that they may come up with a different other additional information that we have to be cooperative enough to provide it to them. Moving forward is now we spoke about what exactly a tax audit is. We spoke about why exactly FTA can conduct a tax audit. We even spoke in very general terms how exactly an audit process is being conducted. Now we'll see what exactly those were the auditor's rights. Now what exactly we have as per the taxpayer, what exactly our rights are. So first of all, if you have the auditors coming in, we can request them to show their job identification card. Before that, as we stated there, we should require an tax audit notification so as to they have to go forward with it. And also, I will tell you, there is a confusion there that with the customers out in the market that if they have received a tax audit notification, it doesn't mean the audit starts tomorrow. A notification means they are saying that this audit would be conducted within considering if you got notification now. So there'll be chances if for the next 4 years, they will ask you to keep the books of accounts or records for the certain periods that they were asking for. Like it cannot be for all the 4. They will be specifying the period that they want to open an audit for. So definitely only for that period, you have to maintain the books of records. And it's a notification that anytime we can start away with. But when that will depend on that. For that, then you will receive an audit assessment, which with a specific date. That's when the audit starts. So notification doesn't actually, says that from tomorrow onwards, the audit starts. But yes, it's a clear indication the company is under audit. It is going to go under audit because a notification states that. Okay, so firstly, the notification, then if you have a visit with them, you can request them to show them their job identification cards. Then you can even attend the tax audit, which takes place outside the FTA premises. You can go there, definitely. You can even check what exactly the process they're going with. As we said that, again, notification has to be prior 10 business working days. So yes, that's one. And also once the audit has been performed, we can definitely request the auditors to exactly provide us the original copies of papers or the digitally whatever documents or records they've taken in order to understand how exactly they have come across with this kind of a calculation or a penalty, or on what basis have they asked us to disallow certain input claim of the invoices, and regarding the sales also, if there is a disclosure problem, we can definitely ask them. Okay, so based on which records, based on what calculation, we do have this right that we can request the tax auditor to provide the same. Moving forward. So this is now regarding the outcome of the audit. So now, as we said, like going step by step after the process, we have the taxpayers. Now, what exactly happens when the audit is completely done? So you will be notified with the results within 10 business days from the end of the audit. As I said earlier, also, you can request the documents or information on which the assessment has been done, but this has to be done within 20 working days or 20 business days, as we say, then from the day when you receive the notification or the audit result, as we say in simpler terms. So the authority also has the obligation to provide you the result of this, the explanation of the same within 10 business days. If you're asking for the clarifications, they should also reply you within 10 business working days. Also, there is this one thing that considering now, as we said, that if you're having a late tax payment or delay in filing, or you have ignored paying the tax liability, or for any other reasons you have attracted the penalties from the FTA, then or you're paying on a later date or something, then there is something called and that again, anything that is happening, it's for a genuine reason. There is like during COVID or during the COVID time, there were times that things were really genuine. Business was shut down. There were no scope. Accountants were not there, or XYZ case. It's very genuine case, and yes, definitely we can go and we can file for a reconsideration. We can go for a penalty waiver. It will not, again, as I'm underlining the statement, that this reconsideration of penalty waiver is not, cannot be applied for an ignorance or a deliberate attempt, or is there is something that you know and you have done a mistake. It's only for the genuine reason where there is a evidence or the proof that you can prove that it was from a very genuine base, that you could not do the, you know, XYZ, the tax liability, or you could not pay or you could not adhere to the law. Then there we can go for the penalty waiver and reconsiderations, and FTA are definitely considerate on this matter as well. Now, in Federal Law Decree 28 of 2022, there was this Article 36 which had come up, that it's now it gives an additional right to the taxpayer that the authority and the person may appeal the committee's decision before the competent court within 40 business days from the date the authority was notified of the committee's decision in the following two cases. One is objecting committee's decision in whole or part, and non-issuance of decision by the committee regarding to objection submitted accordance. Sorry, I cannot see because I think my slide is a little larger. Anyways, I'll make you in a very simpler format. One, that the authority now gives the taxpayer the right that in case you're not happy with that audit outcome that you have received, and you're not even going for reconsideration with the government, you're not filing for the same, then what you could do is you could go to the committee, the higher authority can appeal to them within 40 business days. Okay, but the clause is you must not go, and even if the part also you're not agreeing to, you can go to the appeal and you can, you know, plead to them for the within 40 business days that this is the case, this is the outcome, we are not happy with it, and we can go to the authority, and this is applicable from 1st of March 2023. And once whatever the outcome there it comes, it stands final. Then you cannot go to the High Court or the, I think you cannot challenge that. But yes, the only basic condition is you should not have filed a reconsideration for the same, and you can go to the authority and you can appeal it. So this is also a great move, because earlier going into litigations and going into courts is also an exhaustive step, you see, because of the time, energy, and the resources. So definitely this appeal that you get within 40 business days also gives a relief to the taxpayer that they have still a hope and they can still communicate their part and they can still explain the FTA just in case if there is something that they're not happy with. Also, the next is in case now you're not going for this 40 business days, coming back, and you're not even happy with that reconsideration, you're not happy with the penalty waiver, and you feel there's only way that you can go and you can challenge in the court. Definitely, you can go to the court and you can challenge. That's the very you see on higher end, but also you must have not gone for this appeal then. Okay, so that is the how or the outcome of the audit and how you can actually go forward with it. With this, I can ask to go for the next slide, please. So here, I think Mr. Ahmed, if you would like to take on the slide from here, please.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Nikita, for the great explanation that you have done and for the great aid that you have given over here. Am I audible to everyone? So, how to prepare for a tax audit? Usually, I will just elaborate more on what Nikita was saying earlier, and then I will add. As Nikita was saying that the audit, you can trigger the audit in many ways. not only randomly, because randomly it does not happen anymore. Maybe for the first 1 year, it was the more focus was on the big business, but so far now it has more standards to choose the companies that who will have to go to the audit, like the risk score, if you are doing anything wrong on the FTA system, if you are making drafts on the FTA system, or even if you are making frontal disclosures, if you are applying for a tax refund and you don't know how to put the data for it, that all of that actually might trigger the tax audit. And even if the FTA is reviewing one company and then they come and saw some of your invoices with the company that they have been auditing, that might also trigger a tax audit. So when it comes to the tax audit, there is a lot of inceptions in the market on how the FTA is doing the work and how they are doing the audit. While for me, it's crystal clear how they are doing and how they are dealing with that. But the most common and the biggest issue that I have seen with all the companies that I have worked on is the misunderstanding. The misunderstanding and the unwell prepared documentation. The unwell prepared documentation. So when the FTA is coming to make an audit for a company, what are the first stuff? What are the first requirements that they are asking for? The first thing that they are asking for, if they are, let's say, auditing 2018 and onwards, the most important thing in 2018 is the transitional period. So the first thing that they would be asking for is the financials for 2017 to see if you have any other people that you have taken advance payment, if you have any advances that you have taken in 2017 to know exactly when you have done the service, when you have provided the goods, and so on. It's a common mistake that most of the people have done in the beginning, thinking that if they will get the payment in 2017 and after that they will do the actual supply in 2018, it will be out of the scope. So that is the first thing that the FTA will be looking for. The second, they would be asking for the trial balance and the VAT returns. The importance of the trial balance and the VAT returns is actually to see if there are like some revenues that you didn't declare to the authority. So they have to tally the VAT returns with the trial balance, and if there is any discrepancies, it has to be reconciled. So one of the key points is the company should be prepared for is tallying the trial balance with the VAT returns that they have done on the FTA portal. The second thing, the documentation. It's let's say it's such a famous code when it comes to the documentation, because when it comes to taxation, it's all about the documentation. Again, if you are going to say, I have done that and I have done that, it's all saying. So you have to provide whatever you are saying, and you have to provide whatever transactions that you have done on the FTA system or even in your system with the supporting documentation. So the second thing that the FTA will be doing after the after trying to tally the trial balance with the VAT returns, they will be checking the documentation. You will be checking the tax invoices as an example to see if this actually met the requirements or not. They will be checking tax credit notes to check to know if they are meeting the requirements or not. The export and the import. For the import, they will be asking for the custom declaration. They will be asking for the commercial invoice from outside. As Nikita was speaking about the export earlier, it's a mandatory to hold the exit certificate, not only the custom declaration and so on. You have to have the exit certificate. So all the documentation should be in order. So whenever the FTA will come to audit you, then you will be able to give them the data in a more organized way. So the audit would be going in a more smoother way, and you will avoid the misunderstanding between what you have done and what the FTA is looking for. And that is on the terms of the output. When it comes to the input, it's even a little bit harder, since it is the input tax. It has a lot of risky areas. So if we are not holding the right documentation to prove the input tax, then we are making it more harder. As we were speaking before, for the as we were saying before, that the input tax has a lot of risky areas, like the insurance, like if we are having any entertainment phase, like the mobile phones, if we are having if the company has some cars. Let's put the mobile phones as an example. There was a late declaration that came out of the FTA that they have allowed the companies to deduct whatever they are paying for even for the mobile phones from their taxes. Earlier, it was only the landline. It is true that they have allowed it, but what are the right documentation that you need to hold? Otherwise, once they come for a tax audit, or once they come to check on you, then it will be totally disallowed. You should have such a policy that even the mobile phones for the company cannot be used as a personal use. Sorry. And also you have to make the normal check on them by getting the list of numbers from Etisalat, let's say, and try to see as a normal check to see what the numbers that they have called, is it pertaining to the work or it is something personal. Can we move to the next slide, please? So as we were saying, the like, for example, the documentation, and we have given an example for the mobile phones. The example for the mobile phones actually gives us to the point, straight to the point. What are the importance of the documentation? The importance for the documentation, it is you either will be able to deduct and claim back your input tax, or that you will not be able to. So here, it's not a matter of a tax treatment. The tax treatment, it is clear. But the question here, would you be able to try to support that tax treatment with the supporting document or not? That will be the main issue. As even for the exports, holding the exit certificate will make you be able to treat it as a zero rating. If you are not having it, then it should be standard rated. So the importance of documentation is actually supporting the tax treatment, even though if the tax treatment is crystal clear for you, you still need to have the supporting documentation to support your position. So the documentation is an essential part for the tax audit and assist in observing the documents and drawing a conclusion from the observation that could impact the tax assessment of a taxpayer. Can we go to the next slide, please? So there is a big myth in the market around the FTA tax audit. And as I was saying, that we can avoid all that by being prepared. So what are the myths? Basically, the people are saying, and I do not agree with them, that the FTA is taking too much time and they are consuming our time with all the data that they are requesting for, and they keep asking and insisting on somehow for some matters. So, to be honest, I have gone through lots of audits. Some companies has went into that audit well prepared, like they have the financials, they have their trial balance, it is already reconciled with the VAT returns, and even for some of the areas that they have seen that it is a risky area, they are supporting it with some documentation, and they are making an chronology for it. So whenever the FTA is asking for anything, they have it already ready with them. All what they have to do is just to send it to the FTA. All what they have to do is just to send it to the FTA. So if you are well prepared, you will not have to do the work again from the beginning, and it will not consume your time if you will just like keep everything in order and ready for them. It will help you as well. It will help you as well, and it will help the FTA to finish their tax audits in the right time. So it doesn't have to consume, like it doesn't have to take 1 year, 2 years. If you would be able to have everything and provide them with everything that they are requesting for, they are asking for, then I do believe that there will not be time consuming for you or for them as well. The penalty. Lots of people, once the audit come, they get scared, freaked out. We will have a penalty. Your fear from getting a penalty will actually trigger having the penalty by answering the FTA questions in a wrong way, in a stressed way. So they will not be able to understand you, or maybe they will understand you in a different way, that it will not help your case. So whenever the FTA is coming, you have to put one thing in your mind, that they are not coming to penalize you. They are just coming to know if you are in compliance with law, and they want to make sure of that. And that's it. It is a complicated process, which all's well, I do not agree that it is a complicated process, because it's normal steps that if you have taken it with yourself before they come, then you will be able to give them whatever they are requesting for, and you will never see it as a complicated process from your side. If you have everything ready with you, it's not. The paperwork and the documentation. One of the major questions that I keep getting, should I have the documentation as physical, or should I make it as a soft copy, or what? So far, the FTA has not asked for or has not insisted for the original, or it is a must in some cases to provide them with the original documentation. But you can as well have it as a soft copy. Whenever the FTA will be asking for it, you can send it to them as a soft copy. If they would ask after that for the hard copy, you can just like keep it with you. And if you are well prepared for it, then they cannot surprise you, and all the documentation that they will be asking you for, you already have it in order. The lack of timely response. Some people, they say that the FTA is taking too much time. It's not about too much time. Again, the main thing that if you have provided them your data in an organized way, it will make their life easier. So they can actually finish and come back to you ASAP. And a tax auditor in the authority is not only auditing one company, he's not only working on your case, he's working on a different cases. So sometimes it takes him time until he gets back to you because he is working on other cases. But if you will give him everything organized and in order, that will make his life easier and he will be coming back to you ASAP, as I said, to tell you about the results and he will see you that you are so cooperative with him. So he will also try to be so cooperative with you and to make it more smoother to you. Next, please. To the next slide, please. So I will let Ms. Nikita to tell you why an external VAT health check is essential. Nikita?
Yes, Mr. Ahmed, I'm here.
Yeah, can you take over this slide?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Ahmed. And that shows his experience in the audit and the insights that he has given regarding the documentations and in regarding the VAT audit. That is really helpful. And I hope even the audience has benefited from the same. So now, sorry, as we have gone through now the complete procedure of the audit, the rights, the process, the documentations. So now we will actually understand why exactly an external VAT health check is essential. Sorry, excuse me. I'm sorry for that, a small hiccup. So going forward, why exactly a VAT health check is essential? Firstly, the management should be aware of the tax practices in the organization. No doubt, the internal team that the management assigns is really competent and they're really doing a great job. But what happens is when there is an updation, there is an amendment, that's a very new case that is coming in the 1st of Jan 2023, which came up 1st of March 2023, Federal Decree Law 28. So when such kind of new amendments come in, or some public clarifications that come in from the FTA, it is not necessary that every time, considering the internal team also has a lot of routine practices to look in forward. So it requires a health check or a consultant there that makes them aware that there is some updated and current practices that has to be incorporated in day-to-day practices. If there is something that is because since we as consultants are always been in touch with the FTAs and we know what are the current practice followed by the FTA. So it's definitely it's good that they are also aware and they take care before the things go out of hand. So that is the first reason why a VAT health check is very necessary. Second is third-party viewpoint over the financials and the tax practices. That an external viewpoint evaluates the financials and the tax practice in an unbiased manner, offering any suggestions, corrections that could rescue the taxpayers from any penalties or legalities. So this, I say that is because if you don't have an external person actually reviewing your records, you will never be able to find exactly if the internal control processes are going fine they're going as you designed or as you think it is the right track. So definitely it is always recommended to have a third party view check. It's not that we, as I said, we don't argue or would like to say that internal team are not doing the great job, but it is just to be safe and secure. And being from a third party view, we definitely would look into or go into further more details that could have got ignored during the daily practices, or you're not aware of the same. Third is identifying human errors or malpractices. Now, human errors is something that is the actually root cause for many of the errors, like issues like the errors, the frauds, the omissions. So definitely you should, to have very strict vigilance over the same and to avoid any errors during the future course of business. A VAT health check is very much important. So now why do we actually, I should have stated this early, but why exactly a VAT health check? What is the meaning of it? Now, VAT health check means, as we look into the organization, that VAT has been now one of the most important part, like for the indirect tax, like excise. So definitely, and we see that many times the FTA is coming under around for the audit assessments, the price checks, and also penalties are coming over. So definitely, this VAT health check will definitely make things in in a proper base. We will be looking into making aware of the current tax practices, third party viewpoint, identifying in human errors, and we shall ensure that this whatever the adherence to the law and the policies taken by the organization is actually going in as directed or as guided by the FTA. So that is why exactly you look into so much of details. And the main part, as we have discussed, is something called as documentation. So documentation not only helps you to act as an evidence, or it also helps you as an support. Okay, in case if you're going to have any penalties or legalities, you have these documents in place with you. So that is why we are stressing so much, because FTA is all about documents. The correct documentation will always get through you out from any troubles from them. Okay, so that is the important part. So going forward with the next slide, please. So we understood why exactly a VAT health check is important. Now we'll exactly make you help to understand what exactly a VAT health check process is all about. So recently, we designed one more part of a VAT health check process that's called a preliminary VAT health check. So first I will discuss what an extensive guide that we do for a VAT health check, which is the normal one, and what exactly a preliminary VAT health check is all about. So first is we will assist, we will assist you in assessment of tax compliance, like in identifying any risk factors, gap identification, risk profile parameters. We will review in all the computation of taxes, and like how Mr. Ahmed has told you that FTA will look into your financials. That looking into financials means looking into your trial balance, because the one who has a peek into the trial balance will definitely understand the framework of your books of accounts in the company. So definitely we shall look into your trial balance, the VAT returns, the VAT workings based on which the VAT returns are filed, and the reconciliation of that will be done. So that is one, the review of the computation of the taxes. We'll also check whether whatever the taxes that you have calculated are right, do they tally or not. And in the return sections, we shall review regarding whether have you disclosed your transactions properly, are they rightly classified in the proper transaction. Like many a times it does happen that, if I give you a small example, like in the healthcare industry, so any preventive healthcare service is zero rated. Not all healthcare services are zero rated. So many times we have seen the clients who have also taken the Botox or the cosmetic surgeries, what they've done, also zero rated. So that is also not right. So that again, classification transaction is also very important, which we look into whenever we look in your returns. And definitely the details shall be asked for the same. And also whenever you have paid your tax liability on time, when have you filed your return? So that is also a very important part, as we've seen in the earlier slides as well, that these also attract, could be one of the cause for having you an audit notification from the FTA point. Then we see in the areas of improvement, that is the input tax recovery, internal process, documentation, record keeping, all that. And as we've seen in the whole video and the webinar, and Mr. Ahmed also has stressed what exactly your documentation can do and how useful and how productive it is to have all the documentation arranged properly so as to save your time and to have a correct process with FTA and do not fall in any trap. Second, last point will be the review of payment of tax due. So again, if you have calculated correct tax liability and you've paid it on a right time or not. So that's also a very important part. So also I could say that once we look in your data as well, like the imports and exports, that are the documents again, like for the imports, there are like bill of lading, commercial invoice, those documents should be there. But the exports, as I said, that exit certificate now coming in from Jan 2022 has been very, very much the mandatory part for the tax audit. So definitely those documentations also we look in when we're doing a VAT health check process. Definitely once everything is done, a tax exposure has been brought out. And also with the tax exposure, we identify exactly the gray areas where exactly the company could have a possibility of outflow of cash, just in case if there's any penalty attraction or something. What could be other ways that we could be suggesting in order to have a second opinion, or you could say not to go under the audit trap. So that's also what we look into. So after all, then we provide a report and we'll have a talk with the management. So this is what exactly a VAT health check process we follow up. Okay, so starting with the reconciliation of your returns, your trial balance, your reviewing of the data, identifying you and highlighting you the risk areas and tax exposures, and providing you a detailed report on the same. Now, as I said, this was an extensive part one. So now what exactly a preliminary goes about is, in the preliminary, we understood that many of the our customers were not ready, or they did not have so much time and resource, or you could say the staff that could help us to go for an extensive one. So we devised that, understanding the plight of the customers, we devised that we could have a smaller version of it, wherein we can just work on a quarter, 1 quarter or a one tax period basis for the complete year. And we can, going with the same process that I mentioned earlier, we could be having a lesser review of documents and just highlighting the tax exposure in gray areas, just in order the management to understand if there is any, discrepancies or irregularities in the internal control process or non-adherence as per the FTA laws. So that is something what we do in preliminary. Once that could provide you an insight that there is something called as a gray area, risk area in a company, then we can go forward with an extensive one. So this is just done, the preliminary for those who really want to figure out if there are some risk areas or not. So, my dear participants, with this, we kept wrapped up our webinar. Why exactly the FTA conducts a tax audit? What could be the reasons? What are our rights? And exactly how can we prepare? What areas we must be aware of? And what is an importance of the external VAT health check process? So now going forward, we have some questions waiting around for us. So we shall, answer them. So the first question is from Mr. Ashish Kumar. He says, good morning team. Good morning to you too, Mr. Ashish. Kindly please share for audit. We have to maintain records in Arabic as not all softwares support Arabic, and how to rectify the VAT claim that was not meant to. Okay, so Ashish, first of all, regarding the maintain of audit records in Arabic, no, we can maintain in English. In Arabic, it's the communication that is during the litigation or in the reconsideration that is required. Nowadays, FTA definitely supports that. It also understands that everybody cannot maintain the documents in Arabic, so English is also completely fine. So only in during the higher litigation process, that is something in Arabic they demand. Otherwise, English is perfectly fine. It is not required that you must maintain the records in Arabic.
Yeah,
but
the FTA may require the a translation for your documentation, and it will be on your own responsibility, whatever the translation is.
Yeah, that is something that also has been even clarified during the Federal Law 28, that wherever it's any translated copies, that would be the responsibility of the taxpayer, that they must take in care of all the written records in there. The next question that follows with this, how to rectify VAT claim that was not meant to. So VAT claim that was not meant to, actually it's a very general question, but just to answer it, in case, depending what kind of an exposure it is. So either if you have claimed it, then you can rectify in your upcoming return, or if the amount is regularly too big, which we should have not done, then I think it can go for the VDs as well. But as Mr. Ahmed also said, that VDs do have a little risk exposure, and also from the 1st of March, there is no, earlier there was a limit if you could file a VD, but now it's not so. But we could just say if it is a very small amount, try and rectify it in the upcoming return. I think that should solve the case. Nikita Shah. Oh, hi, Nikita. One more Nikita. So hello to you. Okay. Yes. This question comes from May Jamal. It says that in regards to export of services, no exit certificate can be provided. So, okay, in regarding to export of service, no certificate can be provided. I mean, if you do not have it, see, that's risk right now, that is it, that many of the clients are facing it, that if you don't have an exit certificate, it will be considered as a 5% returns, okay? It will go directly standard rated. So just in case, if you do not have it, if it is possible to arrange it, look into, we can also get in touch. We can have a meeting also in case if we can help you in some way, and shall look into it exactly, like what kind of an import or exports that you have. You'll also have to look in which borders that you're dealing in. So definitely we can get in touch personally, and we can look into that. Hope that resolves. Mr. Mataf Saudi, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. If not, I'm really sorry. Hi, no exit certificate from Sharjah or Hamria port. Please advise how to meet the FTA requirements and export documents from this exit point. Okay, Mr. Ahmed, would you like to answer this query?
Yeah, can you please say the question again?
Okay, so they're asking that from Sharjah or Hamria port, there is no exit certificate has been issued. So therefore, how to meet the FTA requirements on export documents from this exit point?
I am sorry to tell you, but like all the ports has confirmed to the Federal Tax Authority that they have the exit certificate, and they can issue the exit certificate for all the exports that they are having. So you should check with the port itself and speak with them and insist on having the exit certificate, because again, as I said, all the ports are giving exit certificates now. The only one port who was not giving earlier an exit certificate, it was a port in Abu Dhabi, and now they are issuing exit certificates for everyone. So there is no single port in the whole country does not give an exit certificate. So check with the port itself, and they will give you the exit certificate. It is a mandatory.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ahmed. I hope, Mr. Saudi, that has been that's okay and resolves. Next is Muhammad Ali. Hi, if company doesn't maintain the proper books of account, then what FTA will do with it? See, books of account is actually important. Now going forward from 1st of June 2023, see, corporate tax is coming around the corner. From next year onwards, all the companies in the UAE are supposed to go for the books of accounts. So now it's not only for the VAT that is very important, it is also important for the corporate tax as well. But going for the VAT, if you do not have a proper books of accounts, there is a penalty as per cabinet decision number 40 that could, attract. They can take a necessary action on the same, again depending upon the discretion of the auditor. So yes, it's risky that you don't have proper books of accounts. So kindly, look into it and kindly maintain the same. Next is Mr. Dharna Arora. Would you be sharing the slide deck with us? I think yes, our marketing team shall get in touch with you for the same. Michelle Nobal, how does FTA usually send the audit notice, by email or a postal letter? Ms. Michelle, it is usually by the email, because whenever you are registered for the VAT, you definitely register with your we have registered with the email ID. So definitely they will give you by the email address, or the registered email address as well. Okay. As a company that is not considered big, how lightly it will be audited? Anonymous, I actually didn't understand this kind of a question that you've asked. If you could just elaborate, I would appreciate that. Okay, next is further, what's your internal audit fees? Again, please get in touch with the commercial team. They shall be answering that. Audit notice arrived by email. Yes, Mr. Valley does. How much is the penalty for not keeping records? How much records have to keep as per FTA? Penalty, I'm not so sure. Mr. Ahmed, are you sure about what is exactly the penalty for not keeping the records for the previous years?
Not keeping the records, then they will have to assess and make an assessment on the business that he is having. But the fixed penalty, it is 20K. But still, getting that fixed penalty will not let you go with it. If you don't have your records, then they will have to make an assessment based on any other activity or any other business. They will determine what is the best for you, and it is not in your favor.
Okay, and how many year records need to be kept after as per FTA? It's usually 5 years, but again, but if they get an audit notification, then depending upon that, you have to extend that maintenance of the records. So, Mr. Anonymous, I hope this has been answered. Mr. Katrina, okay, no issues. Thank you for being there. Ms. Valley, is exit certificate for export required before 2022? Yes. It's from the very beginning of 2018. Your exit certificates must be, required. Share the slides. That marketing team will look in. Will you be able to? Okay, Mr. Naseem, yes. Why there is an increase in number of articles stating, is it related to corporate tax? And Radhakrishnan. Actually, no, it's not because of that. It's because the 5 years of the audit has been completed. So implementation is being completed. And considering statute of limitations, they have a time limit. Now, the auditors that they can only audit within 5 years from the date of the tax period. Like if for Jan 2018, then it is still, if it is quarterly, then from Jan 18, then it's Jan 2023, March 2023, it's only. And if it's monthly, then Jan 18, then Jan 2023. That is why, in order to, make sure they audit all the companies, they have going with this audit notifications for all. And definitely, as we spoke in the slide as well, there are different other various reasons as well. So definitely for that, nothing related to corporate tax, ma'am, because that's a direct tax and this is an indirect tax. No anyways link for it. Vishnu Vijayakar, whether we can claim for petrol under the company name. Mr. Vishnu, anything that is for the business purpose, definitely you can claim it, no problem. But again, make sure that the cars and everything that you have is under the company name, and it's only for the business purpose. If you want any further information on it, please feel to connect with us. Personally, we can definitely give you more insights on the same. Since it's a very time sensitive, so we cannot actually go too much, but we will try to take as many questions as we can. Next is service related to freight in and out, 0 rated. What are the relevant documents that can we keep as supporting? Related to freight in and out, what are the relevant? Okay, Mr. Damodaran. Mr. Damodaran, are you related to, as you're acting as an agent, or how is it? Like in and out, 0 rated, what are the relevant documents? Usually it is if it is a 0 rated, because I'm not sure, I did not understand this question well of freight in and out. But for 0 rated, usually it's the commercial exit certificate, bill of lading, etc. This is required. Any which ways, if you want anything in much more detailed or the question, the answer for it, please feel free to contact us personally on the same. Exit begin to apply. It begins in the customs, sir. Whenever you try to inspect your goods from the custom authority, that's how the exit certificate you get it there and then. Documentation. Have a good day, Rika. To you too. Rika, I did not understand, but yes, documentation is important in audit. Good morning. Himani, if team are registered for VAT and we're importing goods, then do we need to pay the VAT? Yes, Himani, you're supposed to pay the VAT at the clearance of the goods. If you have a TRN directly linked to your custom, then it directly gets pre-populated on your return. So yes, you have to pay the VAT. Could you please schedule your webinar explains regarding applicable for the business entity? Mr. Sandun, definitely Mr. Sandun, we shall come very soon with the corporate tax as well. Don't have, okay, Ms. Rika, our company is maintaining a soft copy. As you don't have a hard copy, is needed to have a hard copy. The FTA will have an audit, or we can show the records through the soft copy. See, if you have a soft copy, and definitely it's always suggested to have hard copies, physical documents for the 5 years. But after the 5 years, just in case it's very difficult for you to manage and you have a proper digitization, then I think it should not be a problem. But try and maintain the physical copy as well. And you can show the things to the soft copy as well. Okay. So guys, actually there are too many more questions coming in, and we are actually it won't be possible for us to address each and one of us, each one right now through this webinar. So firstly, I will apologize for it, and I shall assure that these questions our team will cater in, and definitely we shall address and answer the same. Second, also that thank you for all the participants for joining in, and it was really pleasure having you, and thank you for your time here. Okay, so don't worry, those questions will be taken care by the team, and they shall be forwarding it to us, and hopefully we can come back to you with the required answers. So thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Ahmed, for your presence and for your insights being here. And I think we shall take a leave right now with this. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for attending today. I wish you a happy day and Ramadan Mubarak for everyone. Thank you.